Hey guys, hope everyone out there is doing well. Today I thought I would talk about a topic that's not especially pleasant, but it's something that does need to be covered. A long time ago, or a good while back, I did a video on avoiding food contamination, food and water safety. And specifically, I talked about some things you can do to avoid catching amoeba. If you catch amoeba, it's going to give you diarrhea, which in the Philippines they often call LBM, which stands for loose bowel movement. That's how you'll hear. That's what you'll hear people call it there. But anyway, I have had the misfortune of having amoeba once, and I thought I would share with you just some different tips for what to do if you get amoeba or if you get food poisoning or some situation where your stomach is really messed up. Just some things to keep in mind. Now, first of all, everyone I'm sure knows what this is, toilet paper. The thing you have to keep in mind is if you go to a mall or to many restaurants, any type of a school, any type of public place, chances are they are not going to have toilet tissue in their bathrooms. And I know that sounds really bizarre, but I guess for them it's a couple of things. One, they don't necessarily use toilet tissue. They use water, a tabo, and I won't get into that on this video, but another thing, it's just for them it's maybe an unnecessary expense. So one thing you need to keep in mind is if you get in an emergency situation, you're not going to have toilet paper probably, unless you're maybe at someone's house. So one thing you may want to do if you think your stomach's giving you some problems or you're not feeling that good, you can, what I would recommend, what I used to do is if I thought I may have some issues, I would get a roll about like this that has been partially used but still has some on it, and then I would kind of squash it and flatten it a bit and keep it in my backpack. Now another thing you can do is you can buy little packs of tissue and stuff, but this is what I always did. A roll that's mostly used but still has some on it, you squash it and then it's going to fit pretty nicely in your backpack. Because if you think about it, carrying a whole big roll of toilet paper around is just kind of, not something that's you're really going to want to do. Another few things to keep in mind here. In terms of medication, when you're having issues, one thing that you're going to find is Pepto-Bismol is something that they don't have in the Philippines. This is basically generic Pepto-Bismol tablets. I kind of like to take Pepto if I can instead of Imodium because Imodium just completely shuts things down. It even stops, I believe, the peristalsis, the muscular contractions, the muscular movements in your intestines. Imodium just shuts everything down, which in some cases that's what you need. But what I would try to do, if I could, is to take Pepto and just see if that's going to be enough to stop things, to slow things down. Part of what I'm thinking there is if I have food poisoning or something like that and my body's really trying to get rid of whatever's inside of me, maybe I want to let it. So that's something to keep in mind. Now the thing about Pepto is you can bring it to the Philippines. You really can't find it there. I never remember seeing it there. But the tablets, especially the tablets like this, in many cases they don't keep very well in the Philippines. If you brought some with you, it would be okay for a while, but after, let's say, a few months, they're going to start degrading because of the humidity. Imodium is very widely available. You can get it anywhere at most sorry stores, at pharmacies, that kind of thing. So obviously that may be something you have to consider. You may be getting on a plane or something or a bus ride and you really have no choice but to completely shut things down. Another thing you'll want to do obviously is, I've got some Powerade here, but stuff like this, I don't know if they have the low carb version in the Philippines. That's not so important, but things like Gatorade, they even have Pedialyte there, I believe. You're going to want to drink a lot of sports drinks to make sure that you stay hydrated. So those are just some things that you can do to deal with it if you happen to get sick or if you happen to catch amoeba. Now speaking of amoeba, let me tell you how you're supposed to go about getting diagnosed with that, and then I'll tell you what I did when I had it. What you're really supposed to do is if you think you have amoeba, you're supposed to go to the doctor and provide them with a sample, and then they will look at that sample and tell you whether or not that's what your problem is. I personally did not do that. I can describe some of the symptoms for you, and then it's up to you what you want to do. A lot of times when people have an amoeba infection, and I experienced this, in addition to the LBM, your stomach feels almost bloated or hard. It's kind of the sensation's kind of difficult to describe. But I could eat, but at the same time my stomach just felt kind of, I don't mean hard to the touch, but just kind of bloated, or I felt like I'd swallowed a basketball or something. I had that feeling. And then another thing, when I had amoeba, I believe I had to take Imodium that time because I didn't have any Pepto-Bismol with me. I took Imodium, and then after the Imodium wore off, let's say a day, everything was just like it was before. And so from my perspective, I thought, okay, I've taken Imodium. This has come right back as soon as the Imodium wore off. This is probably amoeba. That's kind of the way I looked at it. Now again, in terms of what the doctors would advise, they would say, no, you really need to get tested first. I didn't, and my diagnosis was correct because the medicine that I took did work. But again, that's something that you're going to have to decide what you want to do. If doctors are far away, or you can't get to one immediately, and you really feel like you have the symptoms of amoeba, then I personally don't think the medication is going to hurt you. But again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm just telling you what I did. In terms of amoeba medication, there are two options. It's really the same medicine in two different forms. One is called Flagyl. I'll give you a spelling in the video here. Flagyl is kind of it's a treatment that takes a little bit longer. I think it's 500 milligram tablets, and I think you have to take those for like 5 days, something like that. So that's one way to do it. The option that's a little bit better, if you can find it, there's a version of it's the same medicine, I believe, but it's called Flagyl. Flagyl because it's a little more gentle on your stomach. If you take that medicine, what you're basically doing is you take like 2 grams of it, 2,000 milligrams. You take 2 grams of it, and that's kind of a scorched earth policy. What that's going to do is going to go into your stomach. It's just going to completely wipe everything out, and you should be feeling better. Even with the other medicine, if amoeba is your problem and you take one of these medicines, you're going to notice a difference fairly quickly. Your LBM is not going to go away immediately, but you're going to start feeling better pretty quickly, I would say. Last but not least, if you have to take one of these anti-amoeba medicines, whether or not you go to the doctor, again, that's up to you. If you have to take one of these anti-amoeba medicines, what you're going to want to do is, at some point after that, you want to restore the good bacteria in your body. Now, the nice thing is, in the Philippines, they have little yogurt drinks that are very popular there, or little probiotic drinks. One of them is called Yakult. That's a very popular brand, and you can buy them. They come in a little package of, I think, little 5 or 6 containers of it, just little, almost like a shot glass size container. And you drink a couple of those a day for a while, and that's going to get the balance back in your system. So again, those are just some things that hopefully are going to help you. Hopefully you won't need this advice. I would strongly encourage you to check out the blog I did on food and water safety. I'll link it here in this video and in the description. But if you run into some bathroom emergencies, hopefully what I've shared today will help you.